Isn't it time you stepped up and took control of your health? This is Dr. Tom Roselle. Join me on September 17th at the Fairview Park Marriott Hotel in Falls Church, Virginia, for a day that will change your health forever. Special guest Ann Abernathy, known as Grandma Luge, a 6-time Olympic athlete and oldest ever to compete, will be there to motivate you and show you how to take control of your life and put your health in your hands. Don't wait. Register today at rosellecare.com or call 703-698-7117.
Dr. Tom Roselle live right now, 630 WMAL.
Welcome to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I am obviously not Dr. Tom Roselle. Unfortunately, he could not be here today. He's away this weekend, and because we had this little storm, was not able to make it back in time. But fear not, the show will go on today, and we'll see if we can have a little bit of fun. So if we can answer any questions for you, anything about your health at all, things you've tried that haven't worked, well, let's see if we can figure out how we can maybe make a change with that. See if we can find some ways to make some good functional changes for you, solve some of your health problems, get you feeling better, get you on with your life. In here in the studio with me today is Dr. Stephanie Pena. She's going to help me out a little bit today as we're trying to run the show for them. And we're going to talk about a couple different things. The big thing we're going to talk today about is Ageless Health 2011. It's going to be September 17th. And it's going to be a lot of fun. The whole idea with this program, and really with our office, one of the big pieces is education, education, education. We really want our patients to know, how can you change your health? How can you impact it in the most productive ways and really have a better quality of life? So today, we're going to talk a little about what we're going to do on that day.
Well, thank you for having me, Dr. Poe. It's nice to be in here again. And yeah, Ageless Health is something that I was a part of the first time last year. It was a really informative day, and essentially all the doctors in the office basically got in and got to talk about their specialties. And it got a lot of people inspired. It got them thinking about their health, got them basically realizing that it's time to make a change, and that it's really as easy as, coming in and listening to a lecture and then really understanding where you are in your healthcare process. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and also if you got any questions, don't forget to call us in here. The number is 1-888-630-WMAL, and we'd love to hear any questions you guys have too.
Some of the topics we're going to be talking about this year, and these are some things that we cover a lot with our patients, because really what Ageless Health is about is maintaining your quality of life, and to do that you've got to look at big picture things. We don't want to micromanage small health problems. What we want to do is we want to help you fix big picture things. We want to help really improve the quality of life, not manage problems, but get them fixed without drugs, without surgery. That's always our goal. And so some of the topics we're going to talk about today, and please feel free to call in and ask any questions about them. Some of the things we're going to cover, we're going to talk a little bit about the immune system. We're going to talk a little bit about health from the very beginning, from birth on up, and really about good brain function. How does it work? Why does it work? And a little bit about how nutrition plays a role in that. So from an immune standpoint, Dr. Pena, what are we talking about?
Well, we're going to look at really the basics of immune system so that we can all understand how our body works for us. What is it doing that keeps us healthy? Why is it that when we get breakdown and there's too much stress and we're tired and fatigued, essentially what's going on in the body? What signals is it feeding back to us to make sure that we can stay healthy and strong? And when do we know that we got issues going on? If someone's suffering from chronic fatigue and they can't get up, but they're tired all the time, if you have joint pain, arthritis pain, your body's basically giving signals through that immune system. So there's a lot of different things that people come into the office for that essentially maybe they don't know all the mechanisms, and we can sit down and talk to them about it, but really understanding that basis of why your immune system is important is a real thing to start with. Now, Dr. Poe, you essentially were talking to me about a couple of patients that you were seeing and the importance that they were looking at as far as their immune system as well, too.
As far as the immune system is concerned, and, it's a good thing to get sick every once in a while. It means the immune system's working. It's doing its job, because you should be exposed to things. And it's a matter of how quickly can you get over some things. And there's little things you can do in your life, little things you can do to help maintain that health, maintain that good immune system, and some of the things we're going to cover a little bit. Simple things, simple botanicals you can take, vitamin C, vitamins, minerals, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A, things that help with different kinds of infectious processes, whether it's bacterial, it's viral. The big thing is keeping that immune system upregulated, keeping it working real well. And like Dr. Pena was saying, what are the things that knock it down? Well, stress knocks it down. different things that we end up putting into our bodies. We eat far too many products today. We don't eat enough real food anymore. And those things, after a time, they cause enough irritation, enough inflammation, enough agitation that immune system's no longer working. And it can happen at a very young age. We see a tremendous number of children that come into the practice that just aren't doing as well as they should be doing. They're sick all the time. They have things like asthma. They have food allergies. They have different kinds of neurological problems. That nutrition starts at birth. And nutrition actually starts beforehand. It starts with the mother and the father even before birth. And Dr. Sims is going to talk a little bit about that at Ageless Health. How do you start with that in the very beginning? It's a process that needs to be thought through even before the child's born. And even with children, though, we're seeing now, and just across the board, and Dr. Roselle and I have talked about this many times, the level of sickness that we see with patients today is completely different than the level that he saw when he first started practice. People are just much sicker today than they've ever been. And it's because we have constant irritation to those three pathways that we always talk about. The structural pathways, the mental emotional pathways, the biochemical pathways. And more so today than ever, not the structural pathways, but the biochemical pathways and the stress pathways are always being infringed on. We live in a very, very stressful world, and we're constantly bombarded by different things we have to get done during the day, especially here in the Washington, D.C. metro area. But just in general, we work far too much, we work far too hard. It's go, go, go all the time, and that wears the system. And from a chemical standpoint, it's a very, very chemical world.
So that's all going to be part of what's discussed at Ageless Health 2011, the ultimate solution to America's healthcare crisis. And if you're interested in this program as well, or like I said, you can call in today and ask any questions. But also you can call the office and help to register. The number there is going to be 703-698-7117. And there is actually a great registration sign-up fee that you can do. They're going to give a 15% discount for if you're signing up for two. So you please call the office again, 703-698-7117 to hear both myself, Dr. Poe, Dr. Roselle will be there leading us off and bringing it together at the end as well. And essentially, like you just said, we're looking at the structural, biochemical, mental, emotional issues. And another part that we're going to be covering a lot that's always draws a lot of interest in there is really the power of nutrition. And that's kind of covering that biochemical side. What are we putting into our bodies and how is it working in the bodies itself? So we're going to start looking at things like the different vitamins and stuff that you can take to stay healthy. How does foods and the everyday things that we take into our body affect all of our processes? And essentially all that's going to get covered at Ageless Health as well.
The nutritional aspect is always one of the most popular pieces. Patients really want to know, what are the things that I can do on a daily basis for myself to make me healthier, to make me happier, and to promote a good wellness lifestyle. And the easiest thing to do, food and water. What are you putting in? What aren't you putting in? What are you putting in too much of? Those are the simplest changes you can make. And a lot of it is just knowing, are these things good for me? And what we see with a lot of patients when they come in is sometimes they're eating a fairly good diet. There's not things there that we know are generally bad. We know some things, everybody should know at this point that trans fats are not good for you. Those things are bad. Everybody should know that, just like you should know that smoking's not good for you. But sometimes we eat things that, in general, maybe they're not too bad for you, but maybe they're not the right things for you. And we talk a lot about food sensitivities, food allergies, things of that nature. A real common one that we talk about a lot is gluten. Gluten may be okay for some people, but for some people it can be devastating. And it might not necessarily manifest as my intestines hurt or I have different kinds of problems with bowel movements. It may manifest as neurological degeneration. It may manifest as joint pain the next day. There's a lot of different ways to tell, but if you don't know, then you don't know. So nutrition is a big piece that we talk about, and like I said, that's the biggest piece that any patient can do for themselves.
One of the other topics that's going to be very interesting is actually feeding into the process of how our brain actually works. How is it that we take in these nutritional stuff and basically convert it into the brain, and when things go awry? Looking at brain health and mental function, we know that there's more and more issues with people worrying about dementia, about neurological conditions, which actually leads into autoimmune diseases, which can lead into a lot of other problems. It's all part of keeping us basically healthy for as long as we possibly can. So one of the other issues Dr. Harleen Browning is going to actually be talking about during that day is going to be really looking at how to keep your brain power and capacity at its best. What kind of things can we do to really get the brain motivated and keep working as long as we want? And essentially also, how can we keep that, how can we also keep that going throughout the rest of our life?
The last thing you want to lose is your mind. You want to keep that nice and healthy. And it's little things that we sometimes start to notice, and we don't put together the big picture. Things like, is my handwriting getting messier? How's my memory? I forget things now. Well, I'm just getting old. Well, no, it's not that you're getting old. It's that your brain's starting to deteriorate. You're getting neural inflammation. And it's starting to affect how you think, your mood, your attitudes, your memory, all those things. And it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to essentially lose your mind and fall prey to dementia and things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and those horrible neurological diseases that just ruin quality of life. And so Dr. Browning is going to talk a lot about that and what are those things you can do to really protect your brain and to get an understanding of, do I have some of these signs and symptoms? Do I have some of these things that happen in my daily life that are telling me, hey, there might be a problem with my brain. I'm not thinking as well as I should anymore. And so once again, we want to empower you. We want you to understand and see the big picture of all these things. And the reason why we cover so many different topics, and one of the things that patients look for is that silver bullet, that one thing that will change everything. And then most of the time, it's not that easy. It's lots of little things. You have lots of dysfunction throughout the body that are impacting multiple systems. And to really get those things healed, to really fix it, you have to look at all the little things along the way. You have to fix all those little things along the way, whether it's some of it's digestion, some of it's stress-induced, some of it's biochemical-induced, some of it's structurally induced. You have to look at all those different pieces, all those different systems that have been impacted over the years and get them changed.
So that's going to be Ageless Health. It's going to be September 17th, which is a Saturday. It's going to be at the Fairview Marriott Hotel that's in Falls Church. It's going to start bright and early. You're going to get some great exercise breakouts early in the morning, and it's going to run from about 8 a.m. To 6 p.m. That would be bright and early if you're starting at 6. We'll get everybody interested. And essentially, if you're interested or have any questions, you want to call us at 703-698-7117 to sign up. Seating is limited, so you want to make sure you sign up very soon. It's coming up quickly. I know I'm very excited about it. Like I said, last year is my first year as a presenter, and it also gave me a chance from a physician standpoint to really listen to all the other doctors in the office, really get excited about the things that they work with the best. Now, Dr. Poe, how's it been for you as far as doing it for a couple of years, as far as what you're being able to pull away from it as well too?
I think this is my fourth year presenting at Ageless Health, and it's always fun and it's always different. The basis is the same. We want to empower you. We want to give you some knowledge, but the individual topics are always different. And I always learn a lot there as well from all the other docs. We go through, we research these topics. We're looking at what are the modern health trends, because believe me, a lot of things change over the course of a year. So what we want to give to you is the new stuff. What's out there now? What do you need to do to change and be aware of?
Dr. Tom Roselle Live continues now on 630 WMAL.
And good afternoon again. This is Stephanie Pina, sitting in here with Dr. Leonard Poe, and we're going to talk about Ageless Health. Dr. Roselle has gotten caught up in the weather, so essentially what we're going to do is kind of give you some of the topics of stuff that's coming up. Ageless Health, again, is going to be on Saturday, September 17th. It's going to be at the Fairview Marriott Hotel, and essentially you can register for that by calling the office number at 703-698-7117. And joining us that day is actually going to be there's going to be a us talking, and there's going to be a lot of our sponsors that we tend to talk about a lot here on the show, one being the thermography centers. And essentially, they're going to be doing answering some questions. There's actually going to be a live demonstration as well. And we're also going to be there with a couple of other of our sponsors as well, too. Private Quarters is going to be there, and essentially also Soft Touch Dental. Standard Process, which is known to have some of the supplements that are very high quality, and essentially we use them in the office. A lot of our patients are familiar with them. They're going to be on hand as well. And we're also going to be having a live demo from New York Life Chinese Martial Arts Institute. Last year they came in and did an excellent demonstration of Qigong and Tai Chi. It got everyone up and moving during the lunchtime break. So we're going to have them on site too. And hopefully you can come by and essentially join the show and come in and see what it's all about, learn some new stuff, get motivated about making changes in your health, and as Dr. Roselle says, make it a do-it-yourself process.
The other major player that's going to be there with us, as you probably just heard on the break, is Ann Abernathy, 6-time Olympian, and really like another Jack LaLanne, one of those individuals that just epitomizes good health, and was the oldest Olympian to compete, I believe. So she's going to be there, Grandma Lou. She's now a national speaker and motivator, so it should be an exciting day there. She's going to have a lot to talk to us about.
Yeah, essentially she's been on the Today Show, the Tonight Show, Good Morning America, Fox Sports News Radio. Essentially she's an interesting case. We're going to have her live and talking to us about what kind of healthcare struggles she's noticed as she's been the oldest athlete in the Olympics. I believe she competed in the Olympics in the luge event in 88, 92, 94, 98. And then, interestingly enough, one of her things is not only is she a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor, but she is actually, I believe in 2001, had a injury when she was on there, a severe brain injury, and ended up using things like neurofiber feedback, and essentially was able to compete the next year in 2002. So she's an incredible story. I encourage everyone to come out and listen to hear her speak. So she's going to be part of our crew here, along with our other doctors, including Dr. Tom Roselle, which I know you all miss dearly, who will be back next week. And essentially, we're going to be able to get things going, discover things that can help make a dramatic change in your state of health that you can start right away, and then also things that you can look forward to for the future. Ann
Abernathy really is a tremendous story. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is nothing to sneer at, certainly. And to anyone out there that has different kinds of disease processes, different kinds of pathologies going on, don't give up hope. And she's one of the stories of true motivation, how to turn those things around, and how to get your life back and get your health back, and go on to do greater things. Really is an amazing story, and she'll be there to share it with us. And we hope you come out and enjoy that with us that day. Some of the other things we're going to have going on that day, like Stephanie mentioned, Master Burris is going to join us from the Chinese Martial Arts Institute. He's going to do a little bit of Tai Chi for us and show us some things. Really is just an incredible guy. My son has actually started doing some Kung Fu with him, which has been a joy to watch. The Chinese Martial Arts Institute is a wonderful place. Tai Chi is a wonderful thing that you can do, and I've got several patients that practice it and perform it, and their health is better than most. So we hope that you can come out and see some of these things, see some different things that you may never have seen before. We'll have some other breakout sessions there for exercise. Actually, my wife will be doing some breakout sessions, I believe, on exercise and showing you what are some simple things you can do throughout the day, throughout the week to get some exercise in. That doesn't have to be this tremendous procedure, that are simple things that you can do. So we hope you come out and enjoy some of that with us. So the great thing also, we're going to be including in your registration is going to be an organic lunchbox and gift bag from some of our sponsors and stuff. And essentially with those organic lunches, it's great when you can go to a lecture where you hear lots of great information about nutrition, about the foods that are going to be good for your body, the things you should be staying away from, and then you're able to actually practice that right there, right on the spot, and basically get a great organic lunch as
well too. The other exciting thing is any of the participants or any of the people that come in essentially are all registered for a $1,000 healthcare giveaway, which you can use at the Roselle Center for Healing. And essentially what you'll be able to do is kind of sit down and talk with us and come in and really get evaluated for your health and healthcare conditions, see what we can do to kind of help treat any of those problems that have been lingering, answer any questions about any kind of medications that you're on, or essentially where you can take the next step to promote your overall health and wellness. It should be a great day. I'm looking forward to it. All the doctors have been getting ready. We've got great demonstrations, great lecture topics, and it's a really interesting day. A lot of people that come in, essentially, they leave in a happy place. They know that they got a chance to make a positive change in their health.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live continues now on 630 WMAL.
Welcome back to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I am Dr. Leonard Poe here in studio today. We're still here taking your calls. In here with me is Dr. Stephanie Pina, and we're talking a little bit about Ageless Health today and what we're going to cover. One of the things that we're going to talk about today, and we're going to talk about again in Ageless Health, has to do with acupuncture. And acupuncture is one of those things that sometimes people don't have a good understanding of it. We get some things in our head about it. We have different connotations for words that kind of hem us up. I know for me personally, I'm kind of a skeptical guy. I want good, clear-cut explanations for things, and acupuncture, you do have those things. They're not always well known. So, Dr. Pina, tell us a little bit about acupuncture. What really, when we talk about body's energetics and we talk about chi and those things, what are those really? What are we talking about?
Well, just like we'll be covering at Ageless Health, acupuncture is one of the things we do in the offices to really help get the body to communicate with each other. When we talk about chi and the energy that basically helps us maintain health and keep cells talking one to another, it's an old Chinese medical system. It's essentially a system that relies on keeping the body in balance, and so that balance is what helps us keep us healthy and well. And when things get out of balance, whether it's a injury or it's a chronic illness or it's something like a headache or even difficulty sleeping, acupuncture can be one of the tools that we use to kind of help promote blood flow and oxygen flow in the body and promote circulation to help get basically pain under control, to keep the body basically in balance, or homeostasis as we know it. One of the main things that it actually does too is a lot of people come in if they're stressed out, just like they might be stressed out after all the earthquakes and hurricanes of this weekend. Essentially can help decrease some of the stress and help to keep us healthy and well. So we're going to be talking about demystifying acupuncture at Ageless Health, and essentially the way we're going to do that is take a modern day approach on it and take a spin on it, where we're going to use some of the visual tools that we have today, thermography, like what Thermography Centers does. We're also going to look at some of the studies that they've used with MRIs, where they can actually see which part of the brain is actually lighting up when they use acupuncture needles as a way of kind of figuring out the mechanism, what's going on. So we're essentially going to be looking at acupuncture. How can you visualize it to get a better understanding and taking some of the questions and stuff that's out of it? There's been a lot of research lately on different things that can treat. A couple weeks ago, we talked about acupuncture and weight loss and how it essentially is it's basically helping to balance our cravings and also work on our digestive system. But it's one of the pieces of Ageless Health. If you're interested in coming down and seeing that, remember September 17th, and we can call in at the office and essentially sign up for that and maybe get a chance to win that $1,000 of health care that's going to be available as well, too.
The amazing thing is it's measurable. You can actually see the change. I mean, you can measure it different ways. That's what we're going to do with thermography centers. You can actually visually see changes made just with the application of it. That movement of energy, the energetics, and your body's made up of different. I mean, that's what the body runs on. It's chemical electrical energy, and acupuncture moves it. It changes it. It gets it flowing again. And we're going to show you some ways where you can actually visualize that. You can see it. And I've seen with patients time and time again that energetic component, that life force moving between the cells, that energy, they get change. And problems that have not been able to go away start to go away when the body has the energy it needs. It has its healing capacity fulfilled. It really is amazing.
Yeah, we are going to use thermography to basically show you how essentially we can treat conditions that are related to pain as well too. when we talk about how thermography is basically reading on heat patterns, and that can be related to the nervous system, that stress system basically can help feed into an inflammation system and create more issues in joints, in muscles, and essentially that can all be recorded visually through a thermography scan. And so we're going to be able to try to do that on live while people are there. We're going to show you what acupuncture can actually do, where it's increasing blood flow to areas that are getting poor circulation, and then also basically taking away heat in areas where there's inflammation. And that's important because anytime you have blood flow and oxygen flow and a balance going to areas where there's either injury or damage or disease, it's going to be able to bring homeostasis back. Those good factors from the immune system that we were talking about earlier are going to be able to get to those troubled areas and essentially help fix out the problems, get the toxins out of that area, and put the good nutrients and blood back into the area too. So we're going to hopefully demonstrate that, and essentially we're going to be able to show you other ways that acupuncture has been used under the use of modern day technology. And essentially the research that's come out, when they say it's an old Chinese medicine technique, well, it's being modified and evaluated through modern day technology because people want to know more about it. They want to know how it works. How can it help me? How can it affect me? And how can I get better with it? Now, I know, Dr. Poe, you're also going to be addressing another kind of like energy work. Essentially, you're going to be looking at the exercise component of it and really talking about what people can do if they're not the athletes that they want to be, but essentially what they can do on an everyday basis, and really talking about how you should never be cheating on exercise.
You never should. Exercise is one of those things that you should have in your daily routines. It's the thing that we don't do enough of anymore because we don't have time. That's typically the excuse I hear far more out of anything else with all the patients across the board. I just don't have time to exercise. It's something you got to get in. You've got to start fitting it in. And it doesn't have to be this routine that takes hours and hours every day. It can be simple things. It can be anything you enjoy. You know, when I ask patients, I start talking to them about exercise, I see the cringe, I don't want to do that. The connotation that we always get whenever we talk about something like that is, what's the thing that you hate to do the most? And that's obviously what he's talking about. And that's not the case. Exercise can be fun. It can be whatever you want to do. Just do it vigorously. I have patients that don't want to run. Well, you know what? Don't run. Find something else to do. But it's important. It's necessary. It's one of the vital things you can do for yourself that you'll have, along with nutrition, one of the biggest impacts on your health. We're going to talk about some things relating to exercise and certain systems that they really help augment, something as simple as, or as complicated as diabetes. The rates of people that have diabetes today is just astronomical. So many people are either there or at the doorstep. And exercise is one of those things that I'm telling you, it will keep that from setting in. And even if you do have type 2 diabetes, we used to call it adult onset diabetes, but we're not calling it that anymore because now children are getting it. We see it in teenagers. They're no longer adults. We don't handle our blood sugar well, and some of that's dietary. A lot of it is lack of exercise as well. So one of the things that I want to pass on is really, what does exercise do for you? How does it help you? How does it make change? But really, how much do you need to do? What types do you need to do? How do they benefit you? And I'll give you some hints and some tips and some different ways to actually start fitting that into your schedule and making it appropriate again.
So the great thing, too, about that is when people do decide to get into their exercise program, they read about some of the guidelines out there that now says you need to exercise about anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour a day to maintain health and wellness. And they get, frustrated about that because I think they have to put aside, a full hour where they can't divide it up into 10-minute walks, a couple of times a day during their breaks. One of the main things, too, is that people worry about whether or not they're going to get injured. When do I know when I'm pushing myself too much? So the great thing about having someone who works with patients that has injuries, and whether it's myself or any of the other doctors at the office as well, too, is that you can really explain to them, this is why the body works the way it does. This is how you can push it to an extent and kind of get the results without essentially having to feel like you have to be, Olympic athlete like Ann Abernathy. Obviously, she can do it. Exercise is playing a huge part of what she does and throughout her whole life, but essentially it can play a part to anyone. Anyone can get out there and do something that's physically active, even if it's starting with just working just a little bit, walking around the block. putting it in and making sure it becomes a regular routine. So exercise is a great thing, especially when it can come from a physician who knows how to treat the injuries that are related to it and those injuries that might be preventing somebody from getting back into it. We're talking about Ageless Health 2011. I know Dr. Roselle is going to be there. He always has a great presentation for everybody, gets them motivated about health, the do-it-yourself program. And essentially, we're also going to have some of the other doctors from the office on hand. They're going to be able to answer questions at the end. We're going to be sitting down with you during our organic lunch, and you have that chance again to basically get that $1,000 chance to come into the office. It's a drawing for everybody that comes in. There's going to be some great vendors on hand that we work with that has products that essentially also is great for health, wellness, and well-being. And essentially also we're going to be going over, you're going to get a complete course material so that you don't have to sit down and feel like you're going to get writer's cramp. You're going to be able to see everything on stage. It's a great day. When I went last year, it was a lot of information, but you know what? I felt like I learned something from every single one of the doctors that was there, even if I knew it. Even when I went over my own presentation, I basically felt like I was learning something the whole time. So Ageless Health 2011, and essentially what we want to do is we want to see you there. If you've got any questions, either for us tonight, today, you can call us in 888-630-WMAL, or you can sign up to register 703-698-7117 and be part of it, start making the change, and be a part of the ultimate solution to America's healthcare crisis.
Like we said, what Ageless Health is really about is trying to pass on to you what can you do, what are the things that you can do in your life. How can you make the biggest changes? You know, how can you really shake up some of those big webs of dysfunction? And what are the things to look for? Wellness is something that like Dr. Roselle has. It's your birthright. Everybody has it, and it's your job to be able to maintain it. And to do that, you've got to have the knowledge, and that's the big piece of it. We want you to really understand some basics of how do you protect yourself? How do you keep yourself healthy? Not how do you live forever, but how do you maintain that great quality of life all the way up to the very last day? It's always heartbreaking to see patients come in, and they're in so much pain, and they've just lost the real will. Life just isn't enjoyable, and it should be. Every day, up to the very day you die, should be just as enjoyable as the first. So what we want patients to see, and what we want everybody to come out to see, is how can you keep that? How can you maintain it? Because it's so important.
That's going to be Ageless Health, and essentially what we're also going to do too, and one of the things that inspired me when I got there, and just like how we were just talking about exercise, I just got back into an exercise routine. I've been pretty active, but I wanted to do it right, and I want to make sure that when I educate people that they understand where we're coming from as an office, just the same as Dr. Roselle does every single Sunday when we listen into the radio show. Understanding as much about health takes away some of that mysticism. You have to be able to make those healthcare changes for yourself. You have to be able to get into that position where you're willing to make the change and understand where you're going right and where you're going wrong. And having that team and support there behind you is part of the process. So all the doctors who will be talking at Ageless Health this or coming up September 17th are essentially there to answer questions. We're there to really see what is the trends that's going on in healthcare right now. Why do people have trouble making those healthcare changes? And really, how is the mind, the body, the biochemical, the structural issues all fitting together? How does that work towards overall healthcare? So hopefully you can come and join us out there. It should be a great, exciting day. We've heard great comments about it before in the past. People who thought they came in with a perception of what we were going to talk about were completely surprised, and essentially everyone takes away that knowledge and understanding that you can make health a do-it-yourself program, and that you can actually make some changes in your life that can last, that can begin right away and also continue right away as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like you said, every year we learn new stuff. I learn new stuff. I learn new stuff every day that I just didn't know about the body. And as a new research comes out and the new things we're finding out. If you had asked me 10 years ago about something like gluten, I would have said, you're supposed to eat wheat. Everybody's been doing it for years. Today I don't have any gluten. I don't eat any of it because I know it's horrible for me. And I know this because I've looked at a lot of the research. I've seen a lot of things that are out there. And I know now that it's not something I should have. But it's that research, it's those educational pieces that I've learned and I've picked up that have convinced me over time to make those health trend changes. And that's what we want to do. We want to show you the the whys behind all these things, so you know how to fit it into you, and you know how to make it personal for you, and really get a hold of your health and make the changes that are appropriate for you to give yourself a better, fuller, happier, healthy life.
I know one of the last things that I basically learned from the last healthcare lectures, we had a lot of questions about what kind of foods we should be eating, gluten being one of them. How do I incorporate new exercise programs into my routine that I can do on a daily basis? How do I even go to work and be able to, carry in some of the stuff into the workplace? How can I get the people around me basically motivated? Well, one of the things that you can do to get these people motivated is bring someone with you. Like I was mentioning before, there's actually 15% off if you bring someone with you. And what's the best way to get started with your new healthcare routine and get your healthcare issues examined than basically bringing someone with you that can make a change in their life, that you'd really want to get some of this information. Maybe they've listened to the radio show, maybe they've come into some of the in-office lectures that we present every week, but basically maybe they even said, I heard of Dr. Tom Roselle, I've never seen him live in person, this is a great opportunity to get a chance to do that. So essentially we want you to come down, and you can see all of us at Ageless Health 2011.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live continues now on 630 WMAL.
And this is Dr. Stephanie Pina. I am sitting here with Dr. Leonard Poe, and we are filling in for Dr. Tom Roselle, and we are talking about Ageless Health today. And Ageless Health 2011 is coming up quickly. It's going to be Saturday, September 17th, and it's going to be at the Fairmont Marriott Hotel in Falls Church. Seats are limited, and essentially is a great day to talk about health, wellness, and getting yourself ready to make that next change and promoting your health for the future. And one of the great people that we talk about all the time on this show that's going to be one of the sponsors there is also Thermography Centers of Fairfax. Dareth Painter is actually going to be on hand. She's going to be part of our live demo. And essentially, she's going to be able to help us show how thermography has been used to essentially not only visualize things like pain and changes in heat, but also how it can be used to really help promote health, stay ahead of it, and be preventative. If you had any questions for her, you can always get a hold of Dareth Painter at Thermography Centers of Fairfax at 703-943-7248. And you can also get a hold of us over at the Roselle Center for Healing, which is the number is 703-698-7117, or you can always check us out online at rosellecare.com. And Dr. Poe, what's one of the things that you're getting really excited about this year's Ageless Health?
Mostly the different topics. They really are incredible. We can't talk about them enough. These are the big things that anyone can do for themselves. They're so important. Immune health, health from birth, as where I am right now in my life, probably the neurodegeneration and brain, how to maintain my good memory, and how stress impacts that. These are all things that patients can come back and really patients can do a good job at diagnosing themselves almost. When they see, well, this might mean this or this might mean that, I've got these different things going on that I normally wouldn't mention because I just thought, well, that's just old age. Well, no, it's not just old age. These are important to notice and realize and pass on. And it's always fun for patients to come in and say, well, during this lecture, they were talking about this or that, and that's me. And that's big. That's huge for a patient to start to get some of that understanding. So it's really the thing that I'm mostly excited about is patients being able to get educated, educate themselves, and learn more about what's going on, because that's so important.
I know one of the things that we're really proud of when we do our in-house lectures or we go out there and talk into the community is that we like to break down health, so make it as simple as possible. And I know a lot of the people I've talked to in the past when they've come to Ageless Health, they've been able to leave with that experience that it's not as complicated as they think. They may have some pretty complicated issues, but the entire team of physicians at the Roselle Center for Healing is really behind them. We want to do what's best for them. We want to make sure that they know when they're coming in, they're not just coming in to see a chiropractor chiropractor. They're not just coming in to see an acupuncturist. They really know that they have a caring team that's there for them. And when we educate patients, we really get a chance to explain where we're coming from, what we're doing, and that we're staying on top of everything that's going on out there as far as research and what's available in the healthcare business for them. So Ageless Health 2011 is one of the biggest things that we do during the year. It's an exciting time. We want to make sure everyone can get out there. Again, if you haven't got a chance to register, the seats are going very quickly. You got that chance if you want to bring a friend with you, bring a spouse, bring a loved one so that they can make that change. Sometimes I've seen people bring their spouses in, and the spouse has no idea that they're really there because they're essentially the ones that really have the healthcare issue that needs to get addressed. So they're there to get encouraged. The number again to call for that is 703-698-7117. And if there's two of you coming, you can get that 15% discount. Basically, we're also going to be able to raffle off that $1,000 prize. So stay tuned with us next Sunday. Dr. Roselle will be back at 12 noon, and we'll talk to you then.
Health is a do-it-yourself program. That's reality and the title of my new book. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. Health is a do-it-yourself program is a most understandable introduction to natural health care. My book will take you step by step through why the body breaks down and gets sick, but also how it repairs itself. You will finally understand the often confusing world of natural care. Order it today by going to Amazon.com or from our website, RoselleCare.com. That's RoselleCare.com.
Did you know that routine mammograms can increase radiation exposure to breast tissue 1,000 times over a chest X-ray? Now consider a simple, non-invasive, and totally safe medical procedure approved by the FDA since 1982 that can detect breast cancer 5 to 8 years before it can be visualized on a mammogram. Infrared thermographic imaging can accurately detect the initial signs of breast cancer as increased blood supply and metabolic rate, which is recorded as heat. Why expose yourself to radiation when accurate and safe medical detection is available? Call the Thermography Center of Fairfax to schedule a breast exam today at 703-948-7248. That's 703-943-7248. For more information, visit www.thermographyscan.net. That's thermographyscan.net for the Thermography Center of Fairfax.
The Roselle Center for Healing is a proud supporter of breast cancer awareness and reminds you to conduct a monthly breast self-examination and a thermographic breast scan as part of your annual wellness checkup.